We get back and we proceed with our session. In this panel, we shall have all the speakers offline. We have Halyna here. She's present at our panel. And we need one more chair because we shall have 5 speakers. I'm sorry. So we shall have Ms. Halyna Mykitchak representing the Department of Environment in Lviv City Council. We shall also have Iryna Karabut, head of Krasnokutsk Village Council, Bogodukhiv district in Kharkiv region. And we also invite here Mr. Viktor Ivkin, who is the head of Agrivoltaics Association. And also we shall have my colleague Bohdan, who was moderating the previous session. And here he will be our speaker, and he will tell us about the benefits and the risks for the communities. So you shall see the benefits and the risks. So I would like to give the floor to Bohdan, and he will share the results of sociological survey, and also he will tell us about the manual regarding the benefits for communities from nature reserve territories. Thank you very much, dear participants, those who are still with us. I'll try to be brief because we are a bit behind our schedule. So we have presented the results of our research about 6 months ago. For a long period of time, we have been working with the topic of nature reserve funds. We have been talking about this today and also yesterday. So the Nature and Reserve Fund of Ukraine, what is this part from the general area? So now it's about 7% of the territory of Ukraine, but again, till 15%, we still have almost 50% to go, and we need about 5 years to achieve this goal. And that means we have to introduce significant changes into our activities. And the majority of lands are now owned by the communities, because what is privately owned are either arable lands or natural landscapes or something else. Therefore, we have to work with the communities. Here you see the dynamics, and you see that there is very slow growth, apart from some years when we had really some leaps in the areas. So we have the beginning of 2011, and in 2010, Viktor Yushchenko established some national parks, so there was some growth. And in 2016, the Chernobyl Nature Reserve was established. And after that, we do not see almost any growth. There were some new national parks created, but still we see that this growth is really insignificant. And I have already mentioned that our communities own the majority of non-forested natural areas, and theoretically they can become part of Nature Reserve Fund, as these territories have high level of biodiversity and they are very valuable regarding nature protection. So we decided to understand how the people at the local level view the creation of nature reserve territories. And in February, there was the sociological survey, and the representatives of many communities participated. We managed to have about 1,000 respondents. And this was a questionnaire based survey, and then we had an interview with 12 experts, and those experts helped us to formulate the questions that should be researched by means of questionnaires. So the first question was, what is the general attitude of people to establishing new nature conservation territories? So there was no context explained, generally whether they support or not. And the answer was very positive. We have these positive statistics. So more than about 87% of people support establishment of nature conservation territories to this or that extent. And less than 7% do not support, and some people do not have clear opinion about it. And I was a bit surprised that people were so much positive about it. And but yeah, now we talk about nature conservation a lot, and probably people just didn't feel comfortable saying that they disapprove of this. But that was anonymous survey actually. So I do hope it's not just a trend. This is the way people understand the importance of establishing nature conservation territories. There was another question. Are you aware of any sites that belong to Nature Reserve Fund? Yes, the majority of people do not know such things. There were two communities asked, and they didn't have any sites of Nature Reserve Fund. And we see that the majority of people didn't hear that certain sites belong to Nature Reserve Fund. So once again, there were no community that the number of people who knew about such sites exceeded the number of people who didn't know. So we see that people do not have information about it. Further on, there were more complicated questions that allow us to better see people's knowledge. And we see the respondents' association with the creation of nature and reserve fund for sites. So we had associations which are more or less positive, which are about development of the communities, creating new opportunities, and there were some other things. And there were 5 most popular responses, and there was only one which may be negative, and this is restricted use of those nature reserve areas. And the most popular answer was preservation of natural and cultural heritage, and that was 42% of answers. So in the majority of cases, people see some positive issues about creating nature reserve fund sites. I will not talk about the main functions of protected areas. So we wanted to see how people see those nature reserve fund and the function of those territories in the life of those communities. And we see that about 50% of respondents think that these are territories which are important for many people, not for separate people. And this is really a good advantage for community. When we have a territory protected, it is a guarantee that it will be used for this community. Yes, certain activities will be restricted, but this land cannot be made private. There cannot be development on this land. It cannot be destroyed. So it cannot be used as arable land. So this is the guarantee that the land will stay in the ownership of the community. And definitely some other functions were available as well. And you can read this research, and at the end of my presentation, I will give you a link to this survey. Risks, we also wanted to see what people are afraid of. And again, 40% of people said that they were afraid of the land being taken from them. Definitely, the war was also part of the answer. It was one of the priority answers. Some people say it is not timely. Some people were afraid of losing their jobs, livelihoods, and many other things. So there were some other concerns which quite often are exaggerated. And I also would like to actually show these manuals where we considered those concerns and fears and myths. So while our session is on, you may take those manuals and you can read how we used the results of the survey. We also asked people about expected changes for the better in the event of creating nature reserve sites. And again, the answers were positive. People answered that the life of the community will improve. It will be a chance to preserve cultural and historical heritage. It will be a chance to preserve ecosystems and biodiversity. But the most popular answer was about improvement of the quality of life. Now, some practical points. How often were there meetings between the residents of your community and stakeholders? So I'm talking about the scholars, the representatives of local authorities. Uh, so we were talking about meetings with people who can tell people what are nature reserve sites. And we see that many people answered that there were no meetings like that at all, and less than 10% said that at least once a year such a meeting was held. Yes, it is understandable that it may be caused by the lack of resources, but again, it explains why people do not have knowledge, because they are not given information about nature reserve and sites. Another question: who, in your opinion, should be the initiator of the creations of nature reserve fund sites? And we see that people rely mainly on the state, on the public organizations. 25% put the responsibility on the community. And summing up, what were our recommendations and conclusions? Community residents mostly support the creation of protected areas, but when we are talking about specific sites, they have some concerns and fears. They say it is not timely, it should be postponed, and it should be created elsewhere. Therefore, it is important to do awareness raising campaigns among local government representatives and community residents about the fact why they need protected areas. And therefore, it is necessary to increase the staff working in the units dealing with nature reserve fund. And definitely it should be done at the level of the regions. Even if people who are working are real experts, and if these are very motivated people, objectively, they cannot cope with all the tasks and they cannot deal with all bureaucratic issues in relation to nature reserve fund sites. And that was a sort of trial or survey. We wanted to see the picture, but still there is understanding that further research should be done in order to better understand the issues and in order to better understand the trends regarding these attitudes. Here you can use this QR code in order to see the results of our survey. And also here you see physical books available here in the room. You can actually download it, and those people present here may use paper version of the manual. And that's everything from me. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Bohdan. And I think that all the questions will be maybe asked at the end of the session. Yes, this sociological survey was done in order to understand the concerns of local residents, but also in order to address these concerns And in order to show the opportunities coming from the nature reserve fund territories, we definitely understand that the number of those opportunities may be growing. And at the level of communities, we wanted to show these advantages and the benefits coming from protected areas. And your example, Iryna, and your community and your symbiosis of cooperation between the community and the public organization and the national nature park is very illustrative. And we do hope this uh, example will be inspiring for other communities. So please share the ideas about the value of protected areas and what plans you have. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, dear listeners, dear participants. I'm really happy because I work in a unique community. I was born in that community. I lived there all my life. I have been working in local self-governance for 15 years. The community was established in 2020. And there are several public organizations working with us, but this is a unique one called Green Artur. And this cooperation between the local authorities, business, and public organizations yields its results. You see that we have a big community, more than 1,000 square kilometers. We have 86 settlements. And definitely the key point is that we live in the area which is close to the border. We didn't indicate it in our presentations, but Russia is just 36 kilometers away. But we live here, we develop here, and our kids go to schools because we did shelter, uh, which was funded from the local budget, and we pay lots of attention to teaching, to the education of our kids. And you see that we have 79 water bodies in the territory of our communities. And among those water bodies, there are 3 water reservoirs. There are 3 rivers, Merla and Merchik. And also, you see that we have 18 sites of nature reserve fund. The general area is almost 60,000 hectares. And what is unique is the National Nature Park Slobozhansky. We also have protected areas, nature monuments, and definitely this is one of the uh, biggest indicators in Kharkiv region.
We have the strategy of the community. It is approved, and we already edited it because of the war until 2030. And you see all the strategic goals that are approved in this strategy. Of course, the most attention we pay to the project development, and we are very proud of it. And our projects, they are successful. And you see the first project implemented when the community was created to keep the ecosystem for the climate and the sustainable future. So we are between 3 communities in Ukraine who decided to introduce on our territories climate and nature-oriented solutions, and we are very proud of this. And of course, this project gave us the opportunity because we worked with experts of nature project group. We developed with our partners a package of integration and proposals to be integrated in strategic documents and the plan of introduction of a natural project in the Krasnokutsk community. Of course, we have the priorities according to this plan. You will see in my presentation And of course, the next project was near the project and the space of biodiversity in Krasnokutsk in 2023. We created a natural location and this research land in Krasnokutsk High School, which is the basic high school with 800 children. And I'm very so happy that our children have this mixed type of education. And implementation of this project gave us the opportunity, this nature-oriented solution that added the diversity in the city area, city space, and is a space for the creation of diversity. And you see how our children, how they research, and the children, they are the main people today to create our nature. We develop this project. So all these projects, they are also all located in Krasnokutsk High School, number 1, and also ecological research point in a national natural park, Slobozhansky. So the connection, national natural park, and our city council, and together with Slovenia, with the embassy of Slovenia, and for opening of this point, the ambassador of Slovenia came here, Mateja, and embassy of Slovenia, they trust us, and when any project is announced, they believe us so much, and they know that our public organization, together with the village council, we will make reports and we will implement the project. You see, the tasks of the project were implemented, introduced, and they gave a very substantial result. And as of today, I consider it's one of the coolest project. And if you have desire, please come to Krasnokutsk community, and you will visit the natural corners that enchant, and they give inspiration when everyone goes through these difficult times today. So you see the equipment. This is how it was built, and this ecological research point. And of course, we have a lot of eco and educational events. Our children are enchanted by this. In 2024, our organization, they implemented a school of ecological volunteer activities. You see who are the zoners of this project. So you know, this school of ecological volunteer activities, a lot of words people say right now. We implemented very many activities for children, and this is a project from volunteers in the Krasnokutsk community, and we are very proud of this, really. So this is the ecological class, a new ecological space. So this is what the project included: the young nature protector school, and we had the camps and how we involved our children, our youth. It was developed by Green Earth together with the village council, with expeditions to Sumy, to Poltava regions. Of course, this project is very valuable, as you see in front of you, geo-information planning of sustainable development and green infrastructure in Kharkiv region. This is our common project. We are very proud of it also, and this project gave the opportunity to together to systemize and visualize a huge amount of data about the natural treasures of the community. We are very proud of this, and also all this about this project, and you see many topic cards, maps will help us to help all these issues that were implemented by the project. And you see now in my presentation, I show you how our children study, how they learn to use these data, and of course this what the previous project gave us. We digitalized 11 sets of data. We had 9,000 observation of biospecies, and our last project, eco community, acting together, and the Green Author was the winner. And this is a project of 2.5 million hryvnias, and this project was successfully implemented in the community. So you see the picture. This is our natural monument. Seen in terraces, and against this terraces we made this photo, and we see the targets and methods of the project. So we created a new lab in Krasnokutsk High School #1. So just imagine the biology lab room was old, but today it's reorganized fully. When I went there last week, I couldn't even keep my tears. How cool it is, and how children are happy to have this space, to have this space in a very simple village high school. Of course, together with this research center, we have a greenhouse, a part of this project where children study the different things as they grow plants. We have bins for separation of garbage, and there are tanks for transformation of organic into the fertilizers. It's so cool, and it goes into the greenhouse again, and it's a very sustainable, a very cool project. And also this project allowed us to have lots of different expeditions to our unique natural monuments. And myself, I go very often with these events with children, and I adore how much we have and how we implement and that we live in such a unique unique community in Bogodukhiv district. This is our president, Green Arthur, in this blue sweater. He is my friend. I keep him as a gem, so that nobody steals him. So he lives with us, and we help them, and we implement the projects successfully. He is everywhere, not only with ecological projects. We have 3 projects. We implement the project of Ukrainian Cultural Fund. This is keeping of cultural heritage. Lots of things depend of people. So you see the laboratory center in the Lyceum center. This is how the project was done. And so, dear people, I wanted to call for everyone, please take care of your people, teach them. That depends on what people work with you. If you support them, if you keep them, these people will be able. And this is a public organization, but you can imagine how many small businesses were created during this project who were taxpayers. So I wish everyone a peaceful sky, and we will win. So thank you and very much. And it's such a so inspiring during these difficult times. So please stay here and ask questions at the end. And now we're coming to Lviv City Council about the keeping of turf deposits. Please, Galina, how could you keep the turf deposits in your community? And thank you for the previous speakers for sharing their experiences. It's very important during our times to keep our territories, because they have the protection of our spaces from during these military times, when if there is an attack, they will protect our homes, and so any natural site is very important, and protecting it's very important. So about myself, I not only work in local administration. I'm the Master of Geographic Sciences. I was working in the Department of the landfills, and I worked for 2 years in the administration, and we paid a lot of attention to protection of the natural sites. So we have a urbanized community. We have lots of natural sites as well. You see on the slide, you see the map of our community. So, and we created a natural site already, and it's the turf deposit, and northern deposit we will create. They keep in the different basins. One is in the Black Sea basin, the other is in the Baltic Sea, and because Lviv is on the water line, and we have a lot of to this to protect these sites, and thanks to working with turf deposits and marshes, we could involve several projects. It's a cooperation with our partners, the Danube-Carpathian program. We involved Horizon project, and also Sponge City. It's our association of agglomeration on the northern turf deposit. We started to work with this. If you have a possibility to switch on for a short video, it would be nice. It's our example of our Bielogorsk turf deposit. Our partners from Dunai Danube-Carpathian program, as they filmed it. These are sites as they were developed by our Institute of Ecology of Carpathians, which is located in the building close to us. So if you can switch on the video, and it's very important to the cooperation between the public organizations and the civil organizations. It's very important for involvement grants and funds, and so we presented a document to local administration to approve this the northern deposit with 500 hectares, because we did it because we involved the Bielogorsk turf deposit. We could persuade the deputies that we have to create this subject, and this turf deposit is within the city. It's very important, and within the two communities there is a cooperation between two communities to protect this society. So there is no sound, but you will read, understand, and you watch. So I will tell you. So there were some specific manipulation of this land. and this territory was given to landowners by the previous owner, and there are court proceedings are taking place, but the arrogance of the people who knew that this is the state ownership and what they did, and because it was illegal, and thanks to regional council and their law, they supported this project, and they protected this because because it could be the precedent for the whole Ukraine, that we could return this site to the natural preserved fund, and we had to protect this project in courts. That it's very important because this is the territory with 6 meters of turns, and there are channels that we wanted to study, and we wanted to increase the water balance of this territory. Now we run hydrological research of this territory. You see the problems with certain plants, and we wanted to clear the buffer zone of invasive plants. So this site is not big. It's 58 hectares. The general surface is 19 hectares, but it let us learn to work with northern deposit, which is 500 hectares. So it's not clear what is written there, and I will tell you by my memory. So we wanted to be focused mostly on ecological learning, because we needed to persuade the communities why they're important, the turf communities, because communities turf deposits, because communities do not understand what is the importance of such sites, but for the community, the marsh land, it's always important. One of the tasks of this science is to implement the policies and protect these territories. And this project Interregul, we for the European countries, we have a map, and where there are all territories that are depicted, and the policies with which communities can work. Unfortunately, it's not relevant for Ukraine because we are not in the European Union, but it's one of the tools which we can use in the future to stabilize our market.
Also, we have developed methodological recommendations regarding protection of wetlands. So we have all the preconditions to create more sites like this, and we have to work with peatlands. There is one project called Sponge City, and it helps protect the territory, preserve its water balance and biodiversity. There are scientists who were writing substantiation for northern peatlands. First of all, were skeptical because it was degraded area, it was after deforestation, and they didn't know whether there will be precondition to create this nature reserve fund site. But they did the research, and they were surprised that the nature was on the way to restoration, and the beavers help a lot to restore the area. So now we have the substantiation that this site may be a nature reserve fund site, and this is the territory close to Lviv, and we have to protect this land. It was very difficult to ensure nature conservation protection, and we do hope that Lviv region will support us It is necessary to protect the city and to preserve water balance. All the water water intake facility is on the territory of the Lviv community, and water balance is important. Another peculiarity of this peatland is that several years ago, still they were mining peat for one of the communal enterprises, and they stopped this mining, this extraction, and therefore this is a valuable natural site. Here you see the policy tools that we want to use to protect our peatlands. We have been talking a lot about educational activities, and it is also important to work with local self-governance authorities in order to explain why we need such nature conservation sites. We communicate with our neighbors, and I see that people do not understand why we need it, why we need nature reserve fund, and they do not know the peculiarities, how we work with those areas, and we have to show positive cases, what the community can get if the community has such nature reserve fund site. So this is like treasury stock. This is something we preserve for the future. This is something that may attract investments and grants. For example, if we have agrarian sites nearby or any other sites, so if you have a nature reserve fund close to such things, the status of the products may go higher. So once again, you see the red boundary. This is our community. And at the bottom, you have the screen from the cadastre, how it looked as of 2022. There were land plots there. Here you see the information about our site, how peat was extracted. I will not talk about it, but even within the boundary of the city, it is between residential area and industrial area. There are lots of red book species there, species which fall under Ramsar Convention. So it has unique ecosystem which is preserved, and we have to protect it and to restore it. And it's a good example that even within the territory of the city, you can create nature reserve fund sites. The peculiarity of our community is that lots of our sites are within the boundaries of settlements. And now when we have decentralization reforms, we can establish certain sites which are beyond the settlements, and we have to use this opportunity. And in the past, the territories were governed by the district administrations, and they were not always interested in establishing nature reserve fund sites. And the majority of sites are governed by the city, and also there are some sites that are governed by the forestry enterprises, and so they maintain those territories. Today there was a conversation about self-seeding forests. Our territory is more than 50 hectares, and the forestry wants us to give this territory to them, and we want to create this nature reserve fund site. We prepare substantiation, and there are all the preconditions there for this. And I have been working in this area for a long time, and it's good when certain sites are governed by local authorities, because local authorities are working more on recreation, while forestry sector undergoes reforms, and I'm a bit afraid that the forests may change their status or category, and we may lose them. So the comprehensive special plan is one of the tools that will help us protect those territories from changing protection status. So this is something that should be done. In our community, we have developed a comprehensive environmental network, and it allows us to increase the number of nature reserve sites and meet our needs. So the Institute of Carpathian Ecology did a feasibility study of ecosystem services in Bielorussia Nature Reserve, and at the bottom you see the bird watching tower and the photo on top. This is about excursions. We cooperate with the local community, and the community actually have a website. The scientists provide some information about the species available. So we want to have some classes on this nature protected area, and we work on this within our projects. Again, we do some geological research. This is the winter photo, and the final photo is the northern peatland. In the past, it was used as a pasture. Now we see lots of vegetation, and it's necessary to properly plan all the works. We have to harvest hay or vegetation in this territory to ensure that this territory is restored as a wetland. So now it is not used as a grazing land because we do not have cattle in this area. Probably you do not know the structure of our community. We have probably very few agricultural lands. We also have agrarian university, and it is part of veterinarian university, and they own some lands. So the territory which may potentially be used for agriculture now is not used. Here you see the measures planned for Bielorussia peatland. But these measures should be in line with some other activities, and we can actually expand the area of northern peatlands for neighboring communities. The area is about 1,000 hectares, and if we take neighboring communities, it will be about 2,500 hectares. And I do hope that the area of this nature protected territory will be increased. I am against establishing nature reserve fund sites just for the sake of establishing them. We really have to talk about valuable territories that need protection. And if certain area doesn't have it, we can just establish recreation site, not the nature reserve fund site. Because we understand that there are certain restrictions about nature reserve sites, and therefore we have to properly set the priorities. That's everything from me. If you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them probably at the end of our session. Thank you very much, Halyna. Well, you have been talking about land things, and yesterday we also raised those things. So this is a very painful topic, and I wish you all the best and all successes with it. And I do hope public organizations will support you. And the questions will be at the end. And now I would like to give the floor to Viktor Ivkin. And I think that we'll be able to expand a bit the question of nature reserve fund sites. So what can actually help? And the agro-voltaic solutions may be one of the solutions that presupposes a double usage of such lands. So share your experience, please. I see already that people are a bit tired. Please raise your hands, those who know what agrivoltaics is. That's great. Then we have the video. Agriculture depends on natural conditions, but what if you can control these things? Agrivoltaic is the solution that helps the farmers not only to survive but to prosper. Solar panels on the fields create ideal conditions for plants and it preserves moisture in the soil. This technology enhances water usage by 20% and improves harvest by 30%. Agrivoltaics allows you to diversify your business and therefore you can have increase your profit twice. You can have your harvest and you can produce energy. 1 hectare can ensure energy for the entire farm, autonomous water supply, and make your farm independent. Agrivoltaics promotes development of the community, creates new jobs and opportunities for young people, works with the budget, improves infrastructure, and also ensures independence from centralized networks and improves energy autonomy of the region. Green energy is the future that allows you to preserve environmental balance and also it allows you to implement innovative technology and improve agriculture. Agrivoltaic is the innovative solution that changes the rules of the games. Please join us. Our knowledge and our experience will be a key to new opportunities and good cooperation. Miss Maria, the organizers, my mission is completed. So you know now what agrivoltaics is. So probably have my presentation. I will not talk a lot. What are the challenges? There are only 2 challenges. There was competition, there were wars happening around 3 key things: land, food, water, now energy and data. And the situation is still the same. I'll just talk what agrivoltaics can give you. So the video was not really right. Agrivoltaics is not just about solar panels in the fields. Solar panels in the fields is agro-photovoltaics. And in the hall number 2, we were talking about the definition earlier. So what is agrivoltaics? This is the form of sustainable land use that allows simultaneous agriculture and electricity production without losing the main function of the land. People in the morning remember that I asked a question to one of our economic experts: how solar energy influences land use and loss of agricultural lands. The answer was not actually right. If we consider this issue, then there is the World Bank projection, and the optimistic one is that till 2040, electricity consumption will grow twice. This is the pessimistic projection. It depends. So, what will it lead to? It will lead to the fact that we'll need twice more generation than we have now. We see that heat generation is a sort of a deadlock from the viewpoint of environment. Nuclear power, also a problem. Wind farms, also problematic. And this is the situation everywhere. Solar energy, we don't know how we are going to utilize to get rid of those panels. So why agrivoltaics was in the video? Because currently it's a practical solution and 90% of energy coming from agrivoltaics come from those solar panels. Why is it interesting for farmers, for environmentalists, and for businesses? Why is it interesting for communities? It's independence. It's the possibility to attract labor resources, qualified labor resources. Now people do not want to go to the to the communities, and well, now people who are experts in energy will go, and the community will produce agricultural products. And again, self cost of the product uh, is based on at least 20% of energy, so it can be profitable. Agrivoltaics has its own pluses and minuses. You see some indicators in this slide. Well, there are plants that actually need more light and less light, but usually we have high margin plants. Also, some herbs, medicinal herbs are fine. I will be really brief. I wanted to show the global tendencies, and at least 3 persons raised their hands. Just 1 year ago, probably agro-photovoltaic as a term was not known in Ukraine, and even the officials didn't know it. I know at least 2 people now in the ministry who are talking about it. So these are the global trends we can see. And we see that this is a very promising area. If we take a look at the EU, on the last year, 1.7 billion euros just in Italy was part of the state program. I do hope soon we shall have something like this here in Ukraine. So, what are the examples? We have some American examples. Ecotourism, the village tourism or green tourism, is developing. Here you see the community from Colorado, and they have one of the biggest agrivoltaic station. And well, people are flooding there, and they not only produce, they are leaders not only in terms of producing green energy, but also in terms of uh, the number of tourists. Also, there are lots of European grants, well, happening, and well, we try to submit our application as well, but let's hope it will work. What is the potential? We have been working for just 1 year, but already 18 universities are cooperating with us. There are memoranda signed. We had international conference in April, and it will be held annually. And we invite everybody to cooperate with us.
And now we propose that for the horizon with such companies like German Agrar Consulting, which consults 70 countries, and Fraunhofer, big research institute, and we have Kiev High Tech Cluster. We have Odessa Agrarian University, and what is the cell model? Just a word about it. Is it related to agrovoltaics? Because the food security is its stability, and if we add data, and if we look how we look at this presentation, it comes by cables to somewhere outside of the ocean and then come back here, and if we say that the digital technology inside the community, and if they if they decided to be independent. They should have the independence in the digital technologies as well. And this is the cell model. You will look at this, and also we invite everyone. It's very interesting, and from a research point of view, from ecological point of view, from biodiversity, and also lots of things started to appear. If we put them above the pastures, lots of new species appeared, and the competition for the food, for water, and for energy will be even bigger and bigger. So the climate change, you know, what it is. So if you are interested, you look at on our Facebook every day. We make a publication, and the publication which is directly or indirectly related to agrivoltaics. These are scientific publications that are developed, and they give the directions of research. If you want to make it shorter, come into our Facebook. If you wanted to communicate, I'm very thankful to you and to such people as Kharkiv community. So we will do everything even more. In Kharkiv there is a university. I will not name the name. They achieved. They made an experiment plot, and they planted the cucumbers, and they received 60% more the yield. And so I'm very thankful, really. And Ecoaction, Ecology, we have a scientific council in Association of Agrivoltaics. This is a big badge for generals of scientific council. Thank you very much, Viktor, and I hope that it will be perspective application, and we will be speaking about biodiversity. And so we have now time for questions, and we couldn't ask your questions, but I hope you will ask your questions now. Good afternoon. My question is to Viktor, a practical one. Please tell us these solar panels used in the examples as you showed us, how long do they work, and do we have in Ukraine the companies that can dispose of these panels, and how much does it cost the disposal? So first of all, the first question, the answer come to you. Agrivoltaics is not agro-photovoltaics. The second issue, I know 20 years, and you should dispose of them. They degrade. Do we have technologies? Yes, we have, but in Europe even there are very little companies, because it is the glass and crystals and polymers, and we need to burn them. It's not it's a problem, but the biggest problem. We don't speak about agrivoltaics. You asked me a question, but I answered to you. But if you wanted to have more, there is a very extremely powerful association of solar energy, and they said it's not for us. So there is no money here. And who are you? I am the stadium director. So there is no money. But the second question, agrivoltaics, let's not mix, because I see that everyone who are here, these are the the strongest people who will make the difference between agrivoltaics and agro-photovoltaics. It's very important because it should be regulated by the law. Just a minute, please. There is no regulation in the law between agrivoltaics, agro-photovoltaics, and dual use of land. There is no in the law, but the trend is that agrivoltaics is agro-photovoltaics. It's a dead end because tomorrow there will be there will be new technologies we will need to integrate it. So you adopt the law, but if you want to change it, it's much more difficult, especially in Europe. But here the important thing is that we have this opportunity, and we work with Yaroslav Mudry University. So you again from Kharkiv, we cannot avoid you. You are cool, and we in this field we can not only integrate European legislation, but we can create legislation and integrate it in European Union. So it's an ambitious goal, and maybe we will do it all together. Viktor said partially, the point is we pay for the land because of the purpose of use, and when we create the double use of land, we needed to define it and how to pay. And if we say that these are the energy lands, but agricultural lands as well, we needed to put changes into the legislation in the cadastre, and it's not easy. If we wanted to put the electric station, we change the purpose. But if we wanted to make it double, we needed to create it in the law. That's why I will not tell you and explain you. I will tell you what happened on the land with different purpose. We put such a station, and the state lands and the public prosecutor office came to them immediately. So and economically, the tax with agrarian, they have different things. So it's difficult. But people say that the water will cut the stone. We are ready to develop a mechanism in how to establish this payment for this user, and it is for 20 years. Technologies are changes very fast, but there is an economic component. For example, in Japan, they it was integrated by the Germans, but the Japanese, they started to put it on the rice fields, and when it becomes mass, the state decided to help. So they legalized. They made it for 10 years, but economically you should use it for 20 years. So Viktor, we will continue to the discussion. One more question maybe to Iryna, to Galina. So today I learned for the first time about this double use of land in agriculture. And the first impression I want you to comment. I think that this technology can be used only for little agricultural companies, because in my opinion, it's makes it difficult to use land mechanically because of the piles, and I see it's more for manual operation of land, and I do not understand how you will combine the maintenance of the panels, to clean the panels, and with agriculture. Yes, thank you. So the question, please sit down, and you have only 2 grades. So agrivoltaics is not agro-photovoltaics because of the angle of the inclination. Because of the angle, you will not maintain them at all. It's differently used as compared to to solar stations, and the angle will not be big, and they select this angle for insulation, and so mechanical processing. We found two ways. We went to Cherkasy region, and in Kharkiv we had partners. They were bombed, and in this year in March there was a bomb that came to Odessa. It was an investor, and on the 23rd March there was a company that burned 8,000 square meters that prepared 50 kinds of blueberries, and they prepared 50 species of, and we wanted to invite Agrohofer and invite the Germans, and we wanted to put them and to prove their technologies, and to create technology. And it is not just use the tractor and come and work. It's because of the climate zones, and so it was together with Agrarian Institute and Institute of Beetroot, and we see that we needed to use agro-photovoltaics, so we needed to place them in distributed way in different regions to make them. And we had 5 meters on the lower part, and 6 meters on the higher parts. So it would increase the cost, but it was possible, but now we cannot do it. And the second, it was about legally and the public management. We could implement it de jure in communities. Thank you. So now we continue already in the coffee break. Now we have 15 minutes for the coffee break, and we will come back for the next session. And during the coffee break, you will be asked about the marshes and reserve funds, and also look at our guide. There is a Krasnokutsk community also present. So take it